Oh, crikey! Crikey! Crikey!
Sure.
Crikey! Crikey! Did you see that? Crikey! 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 Crikey!
For those of you who don't know who Steve Irwin was, let me tell you. Steve Irwin, more famously known as the Crocodile Hunter, was famous for his hit series on Animal Planet, The Crocodile Hunter, where he traveled the world catching and presenting pretty much every animal you could think of.
Listen, Steve, I hear you. I mean, if it's up to me, right, we'd have the crocodile hunting 24/7.
Exactly. Every single time I do my bootlaces up, I'm staring death right in the eyes. How many baseballers are doing that?
I'm with you, that's for sure.
Christ! Stand back, John. Have a go at the size of this beauty. I got him, mate.
Steve, don't.
The work he did with saltwater crocodiles and venomous snakes was absolutely insane. And to this day, there hasn't been a single person who's inspired more love for animals than Steve did.
Got a beautiful white blaze on his chest. Oh! He thinks I'm gonna take the banana off him. I gave him the banana.
Now, I watched some of his older documentaries when I was younger, but it wasn't until I started making my own videos that I really saw what made Steve so special. He had this charisma that nobody could genuinely replicate. A few years ago, I made a special video for Steve Irwin Day, and I decided to do another one this year, because a lot of people growing up right now haven't had too much exposure to the original Crocodile Hunter series. So today, while we go on our own adventure, we're going to be taking a look back at some of the awesome adventures he went on that inspired millions to care about animals. On our first stop in my home state of Louisiana, we're heading to one of my favorite swamps, where there's typically a lot of snakes. Snakes will sit at the water's edge, hide under logs, or even hide under man-made cover like tin or wood sheeting. Oh, rat snake. Check him out. Hey, little buddy. What are you doing back there? Oh, don't bite. Ah! You bit me. Oh, look at this little guy. That's a gray rat snake. Oh, he is gorgeous. Nice orange color. Whoop, it's okay, bud. It's okay. Check out that orange spot he's got on him. Oh, it's okay, buddy. Rat snakes are a non-venomous species. Don't bite. There's many different rat snakes throughout the world, and they're all perfect. Look at that mouth. It's okay, don't bite. Yeah, this is about typical attitude for a gray rat snake. Now, there's also the Texas rat snake, which looks very similar to this. And here in North America, there are many different species of rat snake, and they all look fairly different. There's the black rat snake, there's the yellow rat snake, the green rat snake. There's many different species, and you'll even get a lot of different colorations within the same species. So for instance, way out east, the gray rat snakes are a lot lighter in coloration. Here, they're more of a brownish color. Have a look at that. He's got a big yellow spot on him. He's got a big, bright yellow spot on him. This is an average size adult, although they get much bigger than this. Rat snakes can actually reach lengths of about 7 feet in some areas. Oh, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. This is a very common snake to see out here, and it's one of my favorites. It's okay. It's alright, no reason to bite, buddy. Very cool animal. Alright, we're gonna slide him back under his piece of tin and keep... Whoop! It's okay. Watch out. Go, go. Go, go. Come on. Get under there. There you go. Awesome. That is a beautiful snake. You guys know that I love my snakes. And while you won't typically see me picking up any venomous species, Steve was an excellent venomous snake handler. Let's check out one of my favorite moments where he got to handle some of the most mild-mannered venomous snakes you'll ever see.
Have a look at these! Spectacular! I'm fair smack dab in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and these are sea kraits. Very unlike sea snakes, these kraits come on land. They lay their eggs, they shed their skin, they bust, they hide, they retreat right here on land. I'm right fair smack in the tropics, and they're thick. They're absolutely everywhere, all over the place, crawling up the beach day and night. And these girls here, They're gravid. They're gonna lay their eggs. Kraits. They're highly venomous. One bite and I'd be dead 20 times over. But they just don't bite. They're absolutely gorgeous. There's more of them. They're everywhere. Talk about placid. They are incredibly placid. You can just go face to face with them and they don't hurt, they just don't bite. They just won't bite. Look at this. She's a good girl. There's not too many snakes I'd do that with, but these sea kraits are so placid, they are the most placid animal in the ocean. Are you gonna come up here? Look at her.
Only someone as experienced as Steve should handle them like this. They may be good-natured, but never forget, sea kraits have some of the deadliest venom on Earth, and you should leave them well alone.
Louisiana is home to tons of different reptiles, amphibians, mammals, birds, fish, and bugs. This terrain is what I'm most used to, so I don't really have too much trouble spotting animals that are normally pretty camouflaged. There's a snake. It's a little racer snake. Hold up right there. See? I'm gonna try to get behind him. He's probably just gonna take off that way. It'd be funny if he sat still. Never had a racer sit still before. Hey, bud. He's awake. He's very awake. He's not cold. Hello, bud. Out here, this would be a black masked racer and not a black racer. Hello, little buddy. What are you doing? They've got a light gray coloration and they've got black streaks right over their eye. Really beautiful snake. They have a very strange range, the black masked racer. Kind of follow the Mississippi River to an extent, and they have a very spotty range throughout Louisiana. Now, if I were to grab him, he'd definitely start whipping around, he'd start biting, but I never get a chance to see a racer snake that just sits here and chills out. I expected him to take off that way immediately, but he hasn't. He's just sitting here for us. Really cool species, and while they are a common snake in this area in particular, that still doesn't make them any less special. They're a really cool snake, one that not a lot of people get to see, and really neat to see one that's just hanging out like this. So, beautiful snake. We're gonna keep looking for other stuff. See you, buddy. My home state is truly a beautiful place, but a lot of the wildlife found here is under severe threat. These habitats hold many species that are vital, not just to our natural ecosystems, but to our world as a whole. While we normally look at the really big, impressive animals to save first, it's often the smaller, more delicate ones that can vanish without us even noticing. I've never caught that before. Whatever it is, I've never caught it before. Got it? Hello, buddy. Okay, you're new. You're not a cricket frog. You're not a cricket frog. What are you? Cajun chorus frog. It's not in my book because it's been recently named that. Chorus frogs are a true frog species, so they hop more like leopard frogs, bronze frogs, and bullfrogs rather than tree frogs. Tree frogs will like to stick to the sides of things, and while these guys can climb, they're more of a ground-dwelling species. Very cute little guy. We're gonna go ahead and put him back under his log and keep looking and see what else we can find. Dude, look at the broadhead. Look, there's another thing. If that goes back there, there's no chance I get it. Ah! I missed it. Look, big broadhead. Why does it sit so still? Hey, buddy. What's the matter? Oh, you're injured. You've got a little injury. That's why I was able to catch you so easily. Have a look at that. Ooh, it's okay. It's okay. This is a broadhead skink. This is actually the largest. Look at him trying to bite me. This is actually the largest lizard species in this part of the country. Look at that little guy. Very small lizard compared to some of the other bigger lizards that are found around the world. He's got a little jaw injury there, and he's got some bites on his tail. I think this lizard is injured from fighting other lizards. In fact, the larger broadhead skinks will fight other broadheads, and in fact, they'll even eat other lizards. A lot of their diet consists of green anoles and broadhead skinks. That's okay. Yeah, his jaw's messed up. Look at that, poor little fella. Ah, it's okay. These guys mostly feed on insects. However, the really cool thing about broadhead skinks is they will eat other lizards, specifically green and brown anoles. This one is definitely not looking too good. That's the only reason I was really able to catch it. They're a very common skink around this area, but they're super, super quick. And I was wondering why this one wasn't taken off, and it's definitely because it's injured. It's got a little injury. It's okay, little fella. Beautiful animal, but on the other side of the world, this would be considered a small lizard, especially when you're talking about goanna or monitor lizard species. And in fact, Australia gets some of the biggest monitor lizards around, including the parenti. The lizards here in the US would be considered food for the ones in Australia. Australia is home to crazy amounts of big, predatory reptiles, and Steve was really experienced in working with some of these massive lizards.
Now this country's a little different. Stony ground, a few hills and rocky outcrops. Choice spot for a few Australian monitor lizards, the goannas. What we really want is a parenti, the giant goanna of the arid zone, the biggest lizard in Australia and one of the largest in the world. You really have to move to catch these guys. There's 1,000 places to run and hide, and the one Steve spotted has disappeared.
Life out here in the far western outback is like a giant learning curve. Even the lizard that avoids me can learn from it. Once you get out of the sand, you don't see tracks. But what you do see is another very obvious sign of large predatory animals. And here it is. Look at this. This is exactly what I've got to keep an eye out for. This is a parenti poo. Woo! You can tell so much from a parenti poo. See this here? Look at this. That claw there, that's the claw off another goanna species. More claws. Fantastic. Look at the information that I can gather from this one poo. Incredible. How's this? King brown scales. Look at the size of them. These are dorsal scales. And they're big. Oh, here's a rib. There you go. That'll give you an idea of the size of the snake. Okay, so there's a rib, which is almost as fat as my finger, which means the snake would be almost as thick as 2 thumbs, which puts it out over 5 feet in length. Woo! This is a fair whack of a parenti that's done this poo. I gotta collect this. I've been working with parentis the majority of my life, and this is a part of my study area on the escarpment. Check him out. Have a look at him. What a spectacular animal. The thing I've learnt many, many years ago is how keen their eyesight is. So what we'll have to do is, I'm not going to look him right in the eye. Let's just see if we can sneak over. Just get over there. He's big enough that I won't represent a predator. As long as I don't look him in the eye, just keep my profile low, we should be able to get nice and close. Getting close to wildlife is an art form. He's onto me. You can see him tongue flicking, and he's looking straight at me. Yep, he's onto me. He's curling his tail up. He's big enough that I don't represent too much of a problem. He's starting to move away. I'm close enough. I'm getting real close. This is great. Here's the king. Here's the king of the outback. The largest predator out here. Have a look at his legs. Big, powerful legs. They can run across the escarpments, out into the sand dunes, and hit reptiles like they're going out of fashion. With all the poo that Terry and I have collected, we've noticed that they are virtually a reptile specialist. Have a look at this. Have a look on his back. Right there, look. just there. You can see that cut, that laceration? That's from fighting with other male lizards. The other ones, have a look towards the base of his tail there. Just down there, look. You can see distinct bite marks. Oh, sorry mate. I overstepped it and he tail whipped me. Which is fair enough. You're all right, mate. You're all right. This is his territory and his domain. And if he wants to tail whip me, that's just fine. I just want to look at your scar tissue, buddy. He'd be around about 5 feet in length. These goannas are known to grow up and over 8 feet in length. And in the old days, I used to think that they bite like a land crocodile. However, I've learnt, and only recently, that they don't. Even though they'll grab a reptile and lacerate it so hard and fast that a snake's dead in an instant, they don't bite people. If I try and touch him, he'll just tail whip me. Here, mate. Just like that. Spectacular. Have a look at this. He's going home. Straight into his cave. Perfect. Ooh, you're hissing. How's the way he's turned and facing me? Listen to this. Are you upset? Are you upset? Isn't he cocky? Hasn't he got a sense of arrogance about him? They're an incredible animal. Woo! Yes, the Parenti. Largest predator out here, you little beauty.
Now we're heading to Mississippi in hopes of finding some turtles. I've spent almost as much time here as I have back in Louisiana, and the turtles here are my absolute favorite. These rivers are home to many endangered map turtle species, as well as the largest freshwater turtle in the world, the alligator snapping turtle. But the most common species I see here is the spiny softshell. I just saw something really cool that's actually pretty common along these rivers in South Mississippi. There is a turtle right here. You're not going to see him at all. He's perfectly covered. Let's see. Oh, there he is. It's a softshell. Come here. He saw us come up. He buried himself. Hello. It's about medium size. There he is. Hello, buddy. Woohoo! Have a look at that little guy. This is a spiny softshell. Very common turtle in these little backwater rivers here in South Mississippi. He is gorgeous. Little medium-sized male spiny softshell. How you doing, buddy? They've got a little flat pancake shell, and as their name states, they've got a soft shell. It kind of feels like leather. It's like a leathery kind of feel to it. It still protects the turtle quite a bit, but things can take bites out of it because, as you can see, it is much softer. Now these turtles actually survive on their speed and, like what you just saw, their camouflage. Whoop, it's okay. And they can go and hide in the sand. A lot of them, there's a ton of them in these river systems, and if you spot them when they bury, they're very easy to catch. If you can't spot them then they're very difficult to catch because they're very quick sometimes. Very cool little guy. There's also Gulf Coast smooth soft shells here, and the more east you go, you're going to get the Florida soft shell. These ones kind of have that greenish coloration with those yellow stripes, and they can have a blotch coloration, they can have spots, they can have all kinds of different patterns on their shell. This is a pretty typical one here, black spots, kind of greenish top, and they're called a spiny soft shell because their shell is very rough, and they've got these little spines right above the head. Oh, it's okay, buddy. And they've got a super long neck. So you want to come out for us? No, he's not going to come out for us at all, but his neck would reach up to about there. What they do to get air is they'll be buried down like that, they'll stick their head up, and they've got a little pig nose there. They stick that up like a snorkel, get air, and then pull it back down. They mostly feed on little crustaceans, although they'll grab little fish in here, but crustaceans and little mollusks is what they mostly tend to eat. On the other side of the world, there are actually soft-shell turtles, and they like to call them pig-nose turtles over there. It's a really cool species. Alright, see you, little guy. Watch him dig back into the sand. This is really cool. Watch it. Once he figures out, want to get back in the sand, buddy? Look, there's your sand. There you go. There you go. He's got it. Oh, that's so cool. And And there you go. Now, you can barely even tell that there's a turtle there. That is really cool. There's a whole stack of different softshell species throughout the world, and it was a species that Steve was fairly familiar with catching throughout his many adventures.
Here's a nice cool retreat. And I know for a fact that we're only going to get New Guinea crocodiles, or freshwater crocodiles up here. Their maximum length is around 10, 13 feet. And they don't eat people. So I should be pretty well safe. I'm a big believer in learning as I go. And I've picked up a really innovative technique from the local peoples on how to catch a bit of macan. See, they love to eat freshwater turtles, or what we call in Australia, tortoises. And they've got this really clever technique of location using this equipment. And you have to glide through the water with your toes, gliding, because the turtles can feel vibration. Here we go, here we go. Here we go. Have a look at these. Aren't they gorgeous? Oh, wow, it's a soft shell. It's a soft shell. Now you can see this one here. This one's just standard freshwater tortoise. So he's a pretty standard tortoise, and it's a little female. You can see she's got the short tail with the cloaca there, web-back feet so they can flip through the water. Gorgeous. Where you go? Quick. Oh, you're not swimming. Quick, you don't have to swim. And have a look at this. Wow. This is a soft shell or a pig nose. You can see why they call them a pig nose. Have a look on the end of her nose there. She's got a snorkel. So she's got this little snorkel and she can stick that up and that's all that comes out of the water. And if she's in the reeds, she can stick her little snorkel up, get some air and pull back down. Look at this. She's got a soft, leathery shell. Her whole shell is just beautiful, leathery. And it actually, you can see it's like her skin. Her house, the shell, flows all the way into the skin around her head. Oh, look at her little mouth open. She's gonna bite me. They can project their mouth out really quickly, so they'll sit in the water, buried down in the mud, in the reeds, and they'll sit there with their head, and she'll wait until a little fish or a crustacean comes past and then go, whoa, grab it and swallow it down. This would be an immature one. They get big. They get up around this big, and the only time they'd come out on land is to lay eggs. Wow. Okay, sweetheart, there you go. Isn't she gorgeous?
Mississippi has some of the most open stretches of longleaf pine forest that I've ever seen. This habitat has always been under threat due to the large amounts of logging done in the state, and the animals here have suffered for it. It's a real shame, and it's why we've got to protect what natural environments are left. Now, this is an area that I've been becoming a lot more familiar with this year specifically. This is some of the nicest longleaf pine forest in Mississippi. It's really gorgeous. I love this habitat. And I've actually been spending a lot of time here looking for the eastern diamondback rattlesnake. However, the most common viper that I see here is the copperhead. And right now it's kind of close to evening time, right when copperheads start coming out. So really hoping to find one right this second to show you guys, because it is a really cool venomous snake. Oh, that's a snake. It's copperhead. This is a copperhead. This is one of the most common viper species out here in South Mississippi. Hello. He's a skinny little guy. Copperheads actually have one of the lowest venom yields. They have a decent amount of it, just like other pit viper species. However, it's not super potent. It's mostly hemotoxic, has some cytotoxin in it, and it can be extremely damaging. In fact, it causes a lot of amputations here in the United States. He's a gorgeous snake, although he's really skinny. Copperheads are an absolutely gorgeous species. They're related to the cottonmouth, which is a much more famous snake species here. This is about a medium-sized one. They get quite a bit bigger than this. Oh. He's really twitchy. I'm not sure what's wrong with him, but something does seem to be up. I'm not sure if he got clipped by a car or what, but he's super skinny, and he's kind of acting a little bit funny. Now, a lot of the other pit vipers around here would be much more threatening to people than a copperhead. However, copperheads are the most common venomous snake here. especially cottonmouths and copperheads. They're these little short, fat, squat-bodied pit vipers, which makes them extremely hard to handle when they're active. This guy's being very relaxed, so he's not super hard to handle. Now, I'm actually not a good venomous snake handler, as many of you know. I really don't like picking them up. This guy's being calm enough and he's thin enough to where I think I can pick him up with a snake hook. Hello. This is what Steve was known for. He was actually really good at this. I'm not good at it whatsoever. I can't handle venomous snakes for too long and feel confident about it, and that's fine. I don't want anybody going and messing with these snakes because they can be genuinely dangerous, and I've only ever touched venomous snakes when I feel 100% comfortable around them. And this little guy, he's just calm enough and just the right size to where I could pick him up just for a little while and feel okay with it. Nice and gently. Okay. Right off the... There we go. Here you go. Very gorgeous. Venomous snakes in the US are one thing, but compared to the snakes in Australia, these are nothing. The elapid snakes that Steve grew up handling were some of the biggest, deadliest snakes on the planet. Steve was never bitten by a venomous snake, and that's something that he took great pride in. He was truly a professional when it came to dealing with these incredibly dangerous animals.
To see the second most venomous snake in the world, I'm going home to Brisbane, stopping off at the reptile park to say g'day to my animals. Whoa! A common brown snake, number 2 in my top 10, has been seen behind my own house. Welcome into my shed. Every boy's got to have a shed. Now, I grew up in here. This shed's been here since the 1970s. Now, Terry, my wife, tells me somewhere in here there's a common brown snake, and a large one at that. She estimates it to be 2 metres, 6 feet. Ideally, what they'll do is they'll stay low. They're a terrestrial snake, not venturing very high, and they're no good at climbing. Now, this is the perfect scenario for a brown snake, because where you've got rats and mice, of course, that's where you'll find your brown snakes. They come in and around through here, searching, looking for food. Oh, there goes a little mouse now. European house mouse. And there's the little beauty. Snakes quite often find their way up into cars' engine blocks. Now comes the tough part of trying to get this highly venomous snake out of quite a tight area. The common brown likes places where people are common too. It gets into houses a lot. And when Australians are bitten, it's usually by this snake. I'm quite used to rescuing these snakes from frightened humans. Wow, what an epic. Common brown in that kind of environment is certainly very dangerous. I've had to use a catch bag. I don't muck with him. It's tail, into a catch bag, and now I'll get him back out into the bush where he can never run into a confrontation with people again. This is one of the greatest rewards for me, being able to release a potentially dangerous animal back out in the wilderness where he belongs. Have to be a little careful, because they normally come out of this bag very cranky.
Well guys, this video was a ton of fun to make, and I really do love making these Steve Irwin Day specials. So if you guys do want to see another one of these, please let me know and I'll do another one next year. They are a lot of fun, and I promise next year I'll actually wear khakis. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more future videos. That's all for today, and we will see you guys next time. For those of you who haven't seen some of the old Steve Irwin documentaries, I highly recommend looking some of those up real quick. We added the names to some of the documentaries, and a few of them are actually on YouTube. Hope you enjoyed this video. Go watch some of those.
I remember when I was young, me and Dad had so much fun, climbing trees and skipping stones. I had a couple of lizards and a snake of my own, but the biggest kick I ever got is doing a thing called the crocodile rock, while the other kids were playing on the dock. We were jumping in the river, saving big old crocs. Well,
Crocodile rocking is something shocking. Hands and feet just can't keep still. I'm always catching them every time, and I guess I always will.
oh my crikey!
It's Friday nights, just grab a rock and hold on tight, man. Crocodile rocking was the way to put things right.
Take a salty for a ride up the river to be safe and sound. Cause I know a few places that he won't be found. I can tell you what the thrills we got when we move around the big old rock. Grab the head and watch the tail. That's the way my dad taught me, and it never fails. Well,
Crocodile rocking is something shocking. Hands and feet just can't keep still. I'm always catching them every time, and I guess I always will.
oh my crikey!
It's Friday nights, just grab a rock and hold on tight, man. Crocodile rocking was the way to put things right. Crocodile rocks blowing up everywhere. If you wanna be down, give a shout out when I stop. Everybody in the party, we don't wanna get inside. If you want to look at another, got a way to make you wanna. Can you ever be this low? I guess you're out. I don't think so.